I would say we've been as successful as we wanted to be, kind of from day one, and we had great guests, and we had some, awesome stories. I mean, I really, with almost no exceptions, I've appreciated every single guest that has stayed with us, and that's a huge part of it. I mean, if you don't like that part of it, there's easier ways to make money than Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let
Thrive. Whoa, was that Fergie?
Oh,
I mean, Mahogany.
That's Fergie. That was a good one.
Don't be dissing Mahogany like that.
Oh, no.
Never.
Never. Hey, we're back. Episode 45.
45. We almost to that 5-0, baby.
Who's number 45 in sports? Quick.
Michael Jordan when he came back.
Oh, that's pretty bad. This is going to be a terrible episode.
So today we got a special guest with us. We got Mr. Lenny Sharp from Live, Create, Connect. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Lenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Lenny Sharp, and ironically, our business is called Live, Create, Connect. So I was instantly drawn to the podcast Live, Let Thrive, and we also have my wife Teresa on. Say hi, Teresa.
Hello. Hi, Teresa. No.
What's up?
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you. So that's cool, man. You hit us up on the email, and now you're on the show. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was great that you guys responded so quickly. Glad we got on. I've been trying to catch up to your podcast. I haven't got them all yet. At an hour and 20 minutes per episode, it takes a while.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about, man. It's a big share economy world.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been good though. I've been I went back to episode 1 and then I skipped ahead and I've been pretty much, I don't know, I probably got 20 or 30 episodes under my belt. I don't think Teresa's listened to quite as many, but really enjoyed a lot of your guests and some of my other favorite Airbnb podcasts like Jasper's and Shampoo and Booze. I've heard those guys on your show too. So it's all one community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one community. So, Lenny Sharp, go ahead and hop right in. So, who are you?
Who the hell are you, Lenny?
Yeah, so I'm out here in California. My wife and I I live in the Bay Area. Teresa lives in the mountains near Yosemite where we have our Airbnb. I commute down weekly, so I work for a high-tech company, one of the major hard drive manufacturers in the world. And we just moved back from Japan about a year and a half ago after 4 years over there. And we had been enjoying Airbnb as guests and decided part of our plan coming back was to host on Airbnb and to use that income to help fund our retirement so I can retire earlier than I would otherwise.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
My biggest question, since you said you moved over from Japan, how is the Airbnb market in Japan? What part of Japan were you in?
So we were in Yokohama. We actually only stayed in one Airbnb while we were over there, which was in Kyoto. But interestingly enough, I actually shot the photos for 3 Airbnb listings. So Airbnb had a arrangement with photo sharing site called 500px, and they basically contracted through 500px to solicit photographers. So there's 3 Airbnb listings in Japan with my photos, so that was kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you said you pretty much a photographer.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my passion. I love to shoot mostly landscapes and stuff, but also people. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out the link, but I think 15 of our Airbnb guests groups have taken me up on my offer to give them a free portrait shoot on our property, and that's something that I want to continue to do for anybody who wants to take advantage of that. And eventually, some of them have said, Lenny, you really should start charging. So I'm going to take them up on that at some point. But for now, I'm seeding the market with free photos.
That's awesome. Do you ever exchange photos for like a place to stay, an Airbnb place or something like that?
No, we haven't done that yet. But yeah, that's something I definitely would be open to. So, I expect to continue my photography, post retirement from my day job. And also, I think maybe you saw, I love to shoot photos and video from a drone, and I've done that for actually over a year and a half all around the world. So I've got some pretty epic drone footage. Check that out.
Sweet.
That's awesome. The reason I asked if you ever do it in exchange for a place to stay is because we've had several people in our Airbnb inbox asking us, hey, we'll come take pictures in exchange for a place to stay. We want to tour the area. It's on our bucket list, or whatever the case may be. So that's just.
Well, that's actually a good idea. I should try that the next time we travel. Like I said, we've actually stayed at quite a few Airbnbs around the world. We just got back from a trip to Paris and stayed in 2 different Airbnbs in Paris and 1 in Rotterdam. So we enjoy Airbnb from the other side of the equation as well. And I'll have to make that offer next time, especially if I see a listing with subpar photos. I'll just have to.
Yeah, you should. We get it all the time. Like,
yeah,
people always hit us up asking that.
We don't have subpar photos though, but.
Yeah, but you could improve, so I'll come stay in your place for exchange for photos. All right.
We'll have an opening March 1st if you ever come to Texas.
So you travel a lot for your job, or what?
Yeah, a reasonable amount. I actually do get to Texas. I have a big customer in Houston and a big customer in Austin, so I get out there fairly regularly. But I also go to Japan typically 4 times a year, and I also get to China and Taiwan and other places. So I know, Steve, you work for America, and I am a lifetime platinum 2 million miler. So
wow.
Although I just lost my executive platinum status this year, and that's a heartbreak because we were enjoying that. Well, 100,000 miles is actually a lot. So if I'm not on the road every month, I can't really do 100,000 miles.
Oh, I see. Damn.
Well,
but
we have
with 2 million miles, you're platinum for life. So that's at least I can fall back on that.
Hell yeah.
No. Sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say we just got back this weekend from one of our timeshares in Austin. It was our first time going, and it just recently opened. It's really, really nice. So we have the pictures that are, from the template. However, if you ever want to come stay in exchange for some photos, it's really nice there. No,
that's perfect. Well, yeah, we'll work that out. And I don't know if you saw the photos of my listing, but yeah, I shot all those. And also, Steve, I sent you that link to the new space that we're opening up, and I shot those as well. So.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, I just on a side, you mentioned the timeshares, and Mike, I am very interested in what you're doing with timeshare, Mr. 400 listings or whatever you got there. But what's interesting is now all of a sudden I'm seeing those stupid world mark timeshares in my market. Now I'm not so excited about the timeshare deal because apparently there's some people that have figured out what you're doing, and we got a little competition there that I'm not that excited about. But
you know what they say: if you can't beat them, join them.
There you go. Kevin Durant. Okay, so you said timeshares are in your market. Where exactly are your Airbnbs, and how many do you have?
Yeah, so currently we have one listing, and we are near Yosemite National Park, so we're about 30 minutes from the south gate. And our Airbnb listing currently is the bottom 600 square feet or so of our house. It's 2-bedroom, living room, full bath, and a kitchenette, and it's a private space with its own entrance. And then we have just remodeled and added a suite, kind of a studio-sized suite with a living area, bedroom, luxury bath, and we will be putting that on Airbnb soon.
Awesome.
So did that start off as like that was your personal house and you just converted it to an Airbnb?
Well, actually, when we moved back from Japan, Airbnb was part of our plan, and we decided that we were going to purchase. I don't know how much you know about Bay Area real estate, but it's just insane. So what we decided was, in anticipation of retirement, we would buy in a more affordable area, but in a distance that I could commute to weekly. And we started looking in the Sierra foothills, looked at a couple of different communities, and then ended up focusing on the area where we're at. And as I was working with agents, I let them know that one of our goals was to do Airbnb. And we had an agent reach out and said, basically, I know this is a little bit above the price range you were looking for, but the current owner is doing Airbnb now and is very successful. So we actually factored that into our buying decision. He had, 95 reviews. He had been, he sent me all of his Airbnb, income statement, so we could see right away what the income potential was. And so he was operating the Airbnb prior to us purchasing the house. So we did it, with that in mind.
Sorry, did that house come furnished, or did he take all the furniture?
We actually made a deal and ended up buying the basic furniture that was in the Airbnb. We ended up, we had furniture in storage and furniture we moved back from Japan, so we didn't need furniture for the house. But because the Airbnb was already set up, we basically used the bedroom furniture and some of the living room furniture, but we've since swapped some of that stuff out with some of our own pieces, but try to make it our own. But the nice thing about it is it was turnkey. I mean, we closed end of August 2016, and I guess it was beginning of October we put our listing up, and we're making money right away. So
okay, because I was wondering how the furniture came, because we have people down here that's trying to sell Airbnb furnished properties for like 2 times the market rate. So did you have to pay any extra, or did it come like the regular market rate?
The house itself was definitely just market rate. We just ended up paying, specifically for the pieces we bought, and I think it was a fair price. I think we could probably negotiate it a little bit, but we at that point it was good for them, good for us. They didn't want to move it, so like I said, we probably could have negotiated a little harder. But I don't know. From our perspective, if it's a fair deal, no worries.
Now, that just made me think of something, Lenny. What's cool about that, like if you're ever going to sell a house, go ahead and Airbnb it for a little while first, right? You got it furnished, you got it looking good, you got some income coming in, and then people that start looking at it, they're going to walk into a place that's already like staged. And of course, when you stage a house, it jacks up the value big time. Plus, you can show them some Airbnb income. So that's a great deal.
No, I think definitely in our area that would work. We live in an area that's very vacation rental friendly. So we live near Yosemite, but also Bass Lake. I don't know if you remember the movie The Great Outdoors, but they filmed that at Bass Lake. So
that's where one of my properties are.
What? You're Mr. World Mark in Bass Lake.
Yes, sir. That's me. I'm your competition.
Oh.
Collusion.
That hurts. Yeah. Well, we'll have to position against those remote landlords that care nothing for the place. They've never even been. We live upstairs, and these other guys have never even visited the property. Yeah.
That's me.
Now, Myka will never go. Myka will never go there because there's bears.
There are bears. There are bears.
I have a question.
Sure.
You had said that your property was previously an Airbnb before you got it?
Yes.
And then you started doing Airbnb with it?
Yes.
All right. So my question for you is, because I know we and Mike had looked at a duplex that was already furnished, and our biggest question was, hold on, why would she want to sell it if it's making her money? Is this not a good area for Airbnb? Did you ever like have those thoughts, or was it like, oh, let's just do what he did and do it better? Like, we can make it better than what he had.
This is probably a good time for me to jump in.
Teresa! Sorry.
Well, because when we first bought the house, I was very suspicious from the very beginning. Why is he selling? Because the person who had it before, it was a young family with a small child, and I was just, maybe I'm suspicious by nature, but I was like, if it's such a great deal. Yeah, it's like, if it's such a great deal, why are you leaving? Because the person who bought the house had only been in it about a year and a half. And I'm like, that's a pretty quick turnaround. So it's actually been the subject of many conversations in that first year. Every time something would come up that was semi-negative, I'm like, that's it. That's it. That's why they moved. I love to walk, and it's not a very good neighborhood to walk in. I'm like, see, you can't walk around. And then it's like, oh, well, the water softener that they put in is expensive, and they put it in, but now we have the maintenance, and that costs something. And then the septic overflowed the first winter, and I'm like, that's it. It's the septic, So we don't really know for sure why they left, but what they said, so if we just took them at face value, what they said was, well, they were from a different area, and I think culturally they didn't feel like they fit in real well here, and they decided they didn't want to own this big of a home and property, and they wanted to travel more. So that's what they said. Maybe that's true. Maybe these other factors factored in as well. And in one of the big things that we noticed right away, the house looks like it's a 3-story house when we bought it. The ground floor where the garage is, which is where the Airbnb space is.
Not in the garage. But on the ground.
I mean, the ground floor has the garage, and then beside it is this 2-bedroom mini apartment, basically.
Okay.
Then upstairs on the next floor is the entrance, the main entrance, with a front deck, and the master bedroom, master bath, half bath for the living room, living dining area, and kitchen. That's all on that level. Then the next level up, what the house came with was originally, 20 years ago, was a loft. These people turned it into a bedroom, walled it in, and turned it into a combo bedroom/office for their small child. And there was no bathroom up there, and there was no heating and air conditioning because it was supposed to be open into the main house. So my guess is, especially having a small child, up on that floor with no heating and air conditioning and farther away from mom and dad and no bathroom, that probably factored in. That probably factored in as well. And so when we bought it, it was one of the first problems I wanted to solve because for me personally, I liked the idea. Before we did it, I liked the idea of doing Airbnb, but I also want to have space for family to come visit, especially after living abroad for 4 years. My parents were really excited that we were moving back. And I thought, if we're booked up all summer with our Airbnb, we basically had no real comfortable guest space.
Yeah. It's like your parents can't come visit it because it's going to cost us money.
Right.
That's what we're feeling right now with our house.
Yeah. So what we decided to do was...
I feel bad about it. Talk about it.
See, this is how it works. Yeah, so that's what happened is we decided to add a bathroom upstairs so that we could have guest quarters that we could use for relatives when we were renting out the downstairs.
To the story, and get the permit, they had to put an external entrance. So then the dollar signs went off for me, and I said, "Yeah, we put a digital lock on that, and we can rent that out too." So that's how we end up with 2 listings.
Yeah, so that's how that happened.
So her parents will cost us money when they come to visit. So.
And so y'all are glad that y'all made the leap into the Airbnb world. I mean, after or at first, was it pretty rough, or what happened?
No. It was actually, I'll speak. It was actually
It was very easy for Lenny while he was in San Jose and I was here.
It was very easy.
It was very easy for him.
No,
He took the money.
I think that, Airbnb definitely helps you, I think, with your search results and everything. When you have a new listing, I think they really engineer the program to give you immediate bookings because they want to hook you. So we were hooked, right? We start seeing the revenue. We were hooked. And then, of course, we did all the things that we felt like we needed to sustain the business. And, we've been as successful as we wanted to be, kind of from day one. And we had great guests, and we had some, awesome stories. I mean, I really, with almost no exceptions, I've appreciated every single guest that has stayed with us. And that's a huge part of it. I mean, if you don't like that part of it, there's easier ways to make money than Airbnb.
Great.
But I would say
I get really connected to my guests to where when it's time for them to leave, I'm like kind of bummed out. Like, dang, I miss seeing so-and-so walk through the front door, like just to have a conversation or to drink coffee at the bar in the morning over here in the kitchen. That's stuff that I like.
Well, you guys, your guests are actually come through the house too, right? Yeah. So you have sort of a built-in connection. We have to make
an effort.
Well, and I know you guys also have to be sensitive. Do they want to be left alone primarily or not? But because they're staying in your house, there's a certain expectation that, hey, there's going to be a little bit more interaction. With ours, we do have some people that clearly just want to be left alone, and we have to, respect that. But it's most fun when they want, they want a little interaction. And I mean, Teresa had some guests from the Netherlands pretty early on. And, she invited them up, have wine on the deck.
Well, no, that's not how. What happened is they asked if they could use the
washer and dryer.
Laundry. We don't.
I was going to say, how do you make that connection? Do you like walk over into the area?
See, I romanticize it. I'm just thinking, it was just so special.
It's actually an interesting story because it's one of those things, you decide up front what you're going to offer and what you're going to make available and what's not, and you do your listing, but then you kind of need to be prepared for the unexpected. And right away, I wanted to lean toward hospitality first, unless I don't feel safe, I just want to say yes. If they ask for something, I just but I learned it from this group. So this group, they were great. There were 4 of them, and they were family members from the Netherlands. And as soon as they got out of the car, they said, "Oh, is there a laundry facilities? We've been traveling for 3 weeks, and we have all this laundry." And I said, if my first thought was, they didn't read the listing because the listing clearly says there's no laundry.
They read it.
They never do.
And then my thought was, I said, well, there's no laundry in the Airbnb, but I do have one upstairs. If you really need to use it, you can use it. Just let me know when you want to. And they said, okay. And so then they went to Yosemite the next day. And when they came home, they said, we would like to use the laundry when it's convenient for you. And I said, now is fine for me if you want. So they came upstairs to do it. And then I'm like, well, the washer's going to be done in 20 minutes, and then you're going to have to put it in the dryer. You can stay up here if you want. And our deck on the second floor has a better view than the ground floor. And it was getting late in the afternoon, and the sun was starting to set. And I said, if the rest of your family would like to come up and sit out here while you're doing your laundry, that's fine. So they all came up. And then I was like, well, since you're up here, I might as well pour you some wine, and took some nuts out. And so they finished their laundry, and we sat, and then I sat out there with them and chatted. And then when they were all done with their laundry, they said, well, we're going to go to dinner to the barbecue place that you recommended on your site, and we'd like to know if you want to come with us. So once again, I thought, well, I feel safe, so I said yes. So they took me out to dinner. It was fun.
That's so cool. We had a guest one time cook us dinner. They were
fun.
so awesome. They were an older couple, about in their 70s, and they were retired, and they got really close to our son because every time they'd see him, they'd play with them. And he's like, hey, I really miss cooking on my last night. Do you mind if I cook you all some dinner? I love to cook, and I'm having withdrawals. And we're like, yeah, come on up. So we came up, and that same night we had another lady check into one of our other rooms that, none of us knew her. And so she came down, and she had a good time. We all drank wine and talked all night, and the ladies were up until 2:30 a.m.
That's so great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So you really remember like those guests.
Yep.
That kind of like leave a lifetime imprint on your life.
Right. Well, and I connected on Facebook with a couple of them.
That's true.
Yeah. And then later we actually went to the Netherlands on this last trip, but we didn't get, I really wanted to try to go visit them, but we were just really short on time. And so we weren't able to do that.
Steve wants to say something.
I was going to, real quick, as a husband and wife duo, like Myka and Mahogany, how do y'all divvy up the Airbnb duties?
Well, I'll start with that.
I pay the mortgage.
Is that all?
That's it.
No, come on.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Well, when we first got started, because I was a little more nervous and hesitant about it, and Lenny was more, we can do this, come on, we'll do it. So he went a little bit overboard to make sure I didn't feel overwhelmed. So, and in the beginning, we were nervous about
kind of like
everything.
Kind of like dating versus marriage. You try really hard while you're dating.
Yeah. But anyway, in the beginning, we didn't use professional cleaners. We just did it ourselves. And so if a guest checked out on the weekend when Lenny was there, then we cleaned it together. We went down together and did everything kind of together. And then, but during the week, if we have guests that check out during the week and he's gone, then I was doing it myself. And I have a little bit of back issues and started having some extra pain with some of the chores. So we decided to go ahead and charge a cleaning fee and just pay someone to clean. And so from that side of it, now I just manage the cleaner. I personally like to do my own laundry. I don't want to have someone else do it because there's a lot of waiting time, and I don't want to pay someone to wait. So I do the laundry usually the night before or in the morning before the cleaner gets here. And then by the time the house cleaner gets here, she just makes the bed. Sheets are done and towels are done, and she just redoes it. So there's that part of it. I would say most of the online stuff, keeping up to date with all the side businesses.
I do all that.
Yeah, Lenny does all that because he's more interested in it and better at it. So
I take the photos, and also I actually am the one who found and signed up for all of our third-party services that we use.
That's what I was talking about.
Pricing and hostfully for the guidebook, and I'm actually also using Smart B&B. I know you guys were talking about Aviva IQ, but I'm using Smart B&B, and even though
it's way better.
Yeah, I mean, he charges, but he's really good and very responsive and keeps improving the product. And I don't know if you use the listing ranker. You get the email every morning with your listing search ranking.
Well, we're still in the trial period, and it expires in 3 days. But I wasn't able to schedule a meeting with them, so I ended up going with Guesty, and I just took all the stuff from Smart B&B, but I love his product. It's powerful.
Well, but check it out. I mean, so every morning at 7 a.m. I get an email, and his site anonymously searches Airbnb for listings in my area and shows me where we rank, and then the competitive listings and what they're pricing at and all that. So it's really nice because if you do an experimentation with your site or with your listing and you kind of want to see, well, did that help? I tried Instant Book. Did that help my list? My search results or whatever. It's really a nice way to check in and see how you're doing. So I really like that piece of it.
How are you doing against my Bass Lake listing?
Well, you show up as listings like yours, but well, actually, though, you've got competition there because I looked at some of the other hosts, and I did. In fact, when I saw it was WorldMark, I thought I might see you, but I haven't seen you yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people doing it.
Yeah, I started to say there's a lot of competition out here. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, but Teresa, Myka is our competition because he's got those condos at Bass Lake. He uses those for his Airbnb listing too. So
you want to know what I really love about Airbnb? in, things like Airbnb is the fact that even though we're all like not really competing, but we're all in competition, we're all still benefiting from it. So it's not like there's not enough room for everyone to get a piece of the pie. That's something that I really like about it, in all different locations and stuff like that.
No, it's true, and honestly, like Yosemite gets like, I think typically 4 or 5 million visitors a year. This last year, I think they had over 6, and there are very few. There just aren't that many places to stay, right? And so there's almost nothing inside the park, and then all of the communities around just don't have enough rooms for peak season. So there's always market, and then because Airbnb, you really get a chance to personalize the experience. I mean, the reality is there's no competition because there's no place exactly like ours hosted by us, right? So you kind of create your own competition.
Would you let somebody pitch a tent on your land?
Oh, we're talking about that now.
Yeah, we're talking about it. We're talking about it a lot. We've got a spot.
Yeah, we have add-on fees. Add-on fees.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, actually, so our property, we're looking around like every flat spot. We're thinking, okay, well, put here, queen size air mattress,
treehouse.
We're literally thinking, should we build a bathroom that the people who are camping could
an outhouse kind of thing.
So,
for camping people.
Tiny house, Airstream, tree house, and we've thought about it all. So, just whatever the county will let us get away with, I guess.
Sky is the limit.
Yeah. Lenny, real quick question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Do you mind if we call this episode the Robert Kiyosaki episode?
Do I look like Robert Kiyosaki?
Kind of look, and you talk like him a lot, though. If I close my eyes, but you kind of look like him too. No offense.
Okay.
He's a billionaire.
He would get some major hits on that.
He's Japanese and I'm half Korean, so I guess we'll let that slide. But
Live, Let Thrive.
I was going to say you could call this episode anything you want, but no.
No.
We might get a lawsuit headed our way.
So, anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay, since you guys said you've had a few hosts, so do you have any horror stories yet?
Well, I can probably tell.
You want to tell the horror story? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty minor in the grand scheme of things, but last winter the drought in California finally broke, and we had record-breaking rain and snow and ice, and we're kind of right at the borderline of the snow line, basically. So we don't normally get much, but last winter was pretty bad. And we had some guests coming from, did they come from Southern California, Lenny? I think they were coming from Southern California. So they had a long drive, and they were arriving really late, and it was a pouring rain, and they got close, and we were texting because I was staying up. I was here by myself, and I was, asking, because I wanted to stay awake till they came in, make sure they got in and settled and everything. And they kind of let me know where they were. So I thought, they're almost here. And then they didn't get here. Finally, she sends me a picture and a text and says, "Is this your place? We can't find your address." And she kept saying they couldn't find it. And so they drove up and down our street a while. And then she sent the picture of our driveway, and I could see that there was a car at our driveway. So I went out and I waved. I said, "Yes, that's us. Come on down." And she had printed out instructions from, was it from Hostfully?
It was from Hostfully.
Hostfully guidebook. She'd printed it out, and it had the wrong address. That's Lenny's.
It's my fault.
Department.
I think, it was my department. I failed. I should be changing sheets instead of putting the guidebook together.
Well, so what happened is, I felt really, and this is back when we only had a one-night minimum. So they were only planning on staying one night, going to Airbnb, going to Yosemite the next day. Well, I felt so bad about it that I thought, I text Lenny later, and they were from another. Maybe from another country. Well, I mean, they were from another. Their guests were from another country, and they were immigrants. So there was a little bit of a language cultural thing. Like, we understood each other's language, but I could tell they were very standoffish and not very warm. And again, I would be too if I had been driving all day and had what happened, But anyway, I felt bad about it all night. I woke up early in the morning and I texted Lenny. I said, why don't we offer them a free night if they want to stay a second night, and then that way we can compensate for the negative and maybe we won't get a negative review. And he's like, great idea, let's do it. So I sent her a text and I just said, before you leave for the park, if you want to leave your stuff here, you can have a free night on us, just stay another night. And they said, thank you very much. Yes, we'll take advantage of it. And they did. They got back the next night, went to dinner and everything, and I was upstairs, and I hear them downstairs showering and getting ready to go to bed, and I hear a loud noise. And I'm thinking, oh, they broke something, but no big deal. Nothing down there is priceless. We'll just, whatever. Something broke. About 15 minutes later, she texts me, do you have any medicine? My father, from another country, fell in the shower and is bleeding. Is bleeding on our free night, which is not insured. So we live in a remote area. There's no hospital here. I said, there's no hospital. There's no clinic. It's late at night. It's like 11 o'clock at night now. And I'm new to the area, so I don't even know what to do. So
I'm gone, by the way.
He's gone, so I feel more panicky because I'm handling it. So I actually put a Facebook request out. And I didn't say I was Airbnb, but I just said, I have guests in my home who, slipped and fell, might need to go to emergency room. Is there an emergency room close by? So it was good because some of my Facebook contacts, knew in this area. We have an Oakhurst area group. They responded right away. There's a Mariposa Hospital, which is only 30 minutes away, and then there's Fresno, of course, which is an hour away. So I was able to give them that information, and I worked really hard. I know they felt that I cared, and I went down there. I didn't have the medicine that he wanted. He wanted iodine, which is, I guess, hard to get now in this country, but he busted his lip. He wanted to put iodine on his lip. That doesn't sound good to me, but anyway. And it turns out he's a doctor in his own country, but doesn't like... I'm recommending things I learned as a mom, like, maybe if you put ice on it. No, he doesn't want ice. Or maybe if he took a pain reliever that would reduce the swelling. No, he didn't want that.
Well, fortunately, he was a doctor, not a lawyer.
Yes. Yes. But we were nervous for several months. They were going to
own our house,
Yeah, it was really, and they were upset about it, and they did dock us in the review, not as much as they could have, but they did tell the story that, when they wrote the review, they said the bathtub is very slippery. Well, as it turns out, we've never had anyone else slip, and I think we figured out what happened is we have a water softener, and it was the last person to take the shower. 3 other people taking showers. So the soap and the, shower gel and all that mixed with the water softener made the tub more slippery. But what I did is I just went and bought a rubber mat, and I responded to the review that we're so sorry that this happened, and we're going to put a plastic mat in there, rubber mat. And anyway, it ended up not...
She did give us 5 stars, though.
Oh,
I mean, she mentioned that, and I think she docked one of the, I think maybe accuracy.
Accuracy.
She
docked
accuracy because the address was wrong.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I would say we dodged the bullet on that one.
That's true. She could have done much worse.
But honestly, I would suggest if anybody wants to do something like this, offer, give them one night for $10
discount.
But extend
Yeah.
the Airbnb listing because then you're covered versus you're on your own now. You've got,
Yeah, on the side or off the books, that would have it could have been bad.
Great listing for our fans out there. Great listing.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah,
no freebies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's just ironic. Try to do something nice. Yeah.
So how big?
We've had people show up on our Airbnb listing. Airbnb messed it up when we duplicated a listing, and we had guests show up to a place that wasn't there, and they had been driving hours. And we kind of had to do the same thing and offer them a free night. Mm-hmm. So that does happen sometimes.
So how big y'all looking to get? How many Airbnbs do you want?
Well, that depends on who you ask.
All right, Teresa first.
Well, I go back and forth on this because I do see the potential on our property, and now that we've lived here more than a year, I can see that really I think it makes more sense. A lot of people here, what they do is they just maximize the peak season, and then shut it down in the winter. Instead of just trickling in with 1 or 2 bookings for, 2 months. So I would be open to having a more complicated summer if we shut it down in the winter. But if we're going to do year round, I don't know. To me, it weighs in the back of my mind. I don't want my life too complicated.
So Teresa's answer is less than 1. So
I don't know.
No, we've toyed with the different ideas, and in fact, I think that our area, unfortunately, I may be inviting more competition. But if you just look at what is the Airbnb potential versus property values, it's really a very good ratio. So I think, from a business perspective, it's a very positive. But I think that we've also, we talked about the fact that, we're looking at this more for retirement. And, I don't want to just trade current job, which is a great job, for a different job, which is, managing an empire, Airbnb empire. So I think, what we're looking at is actually maximizing the current property so that we can kind of manage one piece of property and all the maintenance is left versus extending ourselves and buying other properties. But we have actually a lot of potential where we're at. So, Teresa kind of described the house. So we can live there and have 2 listings. But if we're traveling and utilizing our co-host, we could actually have 5 different listings, which are different combinations of the house, right? So you've got the bottom, the middle, the top. You have the whole house. You have the bottom and the middle. You have the middle and the top with different amenities and features for different combinations. And Airbnb will actually manage those. If you set your property up that way, if somebody books, the top and the middle, then the middle will not be available. The whole house will not be available. So that the site will actually manage that for you. So from my perspective, that level of Airbnb expansion, if you will, is probably what we're looking at. Not actually buying other property that has to be, maintained. But honestly, at that level, on an annual basis, we have a very good earner, right? If you just look at what we did last summer with just the space, like I said, it's 600 square feet of a 3,100 square foot house. I mean, it, probably doubled or some months tripled our mortgage payment just on that space. And then when you start looking at the whole house or different combinations, we could take a very nice vacation while our house is earning for us. That's kind of what we're looking.
Nice. Well, and the next one you got going, the one that y'all are currently renovating, where is that one located at?
It's the 3rd story of our house. So
okay, it's the same. Okay.
Teresa,
same house.
So Teresa showed you described it. So when we bought the house, there was this enclosed loft that had no bathroom, no air conditioning, heating. We actually raised the roof, built a whole those pictures I sent you, Steve. That whole suite, we added 400 square feet, full bath, full luxury bath. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a really, really nice space. And again, we had to build a deck and a stairway. And now we have a Slage digital lock on that door. And as soon as we're ready, we're going to put that on as a separate listing. So that we have a door that goes from that space down to the house, but we can lock that. We'll put another digital lock on that.
Oh, and can you explain about the fire alarm?
Yeah, actually, so one of the things that we did, so I'm thinking, okay, we're going to want to lock our house from this space, right? We have that downstairs as well. But then we realized, well, the reason they require you to put another door is because if there's a fire, that could be 2 ways to get out, right? Mm. So because we bought the Slage Smart Lock, we also bought a Halo smoke alarm, and we can actually program it so that if the smoke alarm goes off, all the doors will automatically unlock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that makes me feel better because again, I'm the worst case scenario person of the family.
Yes. How did you guys find your contractors to do your work? Was it like from a certain website, or did you like know people, or how did you find reliable people who can actually do the job correctly without it taking like a really long time or not going right and things like that?
We asked my cousin who's the most expensive contractor.
No, that's a lie. No, what's that site? What's that site?
Angie's List?
No, it wasn't Angie's. The other one.
Thumbtack?
No, the other one. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's one of those. I want to say TripAdvisor, but it's not. It's one of those where you find home improvement help.
Contractor.
I can't think of the name.
HomeWise, by chance?
I thought it was Angie's List. Honey.
It's not Angie's List. There's another one.
Okay,
I can't think of the name of it.
If you think
right
about
now.
it, let me know. I'm
Yeah. Anyway, we started with that, but then I started asking people around. And there is an app called Houzz, Houzz. What happened is I got 4 or 5 phone numbers for local contractors. And only one of them had someone who could answer the phone. Everyone else was just their cell phone voicemail. And 2 never got back to me. 1 got back to me 2 weeks later and apologized, but was busy out of the area. And the one that answered the phone had a secretary that answered the phone. That's the one we went with. and he came out the very next day and gave a bid. And
very professional.
Yeah,
from the beginning, he was professional, and that's why we went with them. Because honestly, we did not want to get into a situation where we had the infamous collect your money to pay for my last job kind of contractor.
I know.
That's what happened is we'd had an experience like that where we went with the budget contractor before with the landscaping project. And it was someone we actually knew, a relative of someone who was doing our maintenance. So we thought that would be a good connection. But that ended up costing more. They weren't as careful with their estimating and bidding. And so that it wasn't a nightmare, but it was a disappointment. So I learned from that. Sometimes just paying more, just making the decision to pay more, but it's somebody who has a reputation in the community that they want to uphold. So they'll go the extra mile to make sure that it's right. I mean, they're proud to put their sign on our property while they're doing the construction. They're using this as advertising. So I think a mistake you can make is you just put it out for bid and you go with the lowest bid or whatever. And at the end of the day, lots and lots of stuff will happen that you didn't anticipate. Yeah. And so the bottom line is you have to trust the guy, right? Because all that other stuff, anybody can put something down on paper, but when it comes down to it, you really are entrusting this person. And, we just really had a sense that we could trust him to do right by us. And quite frankly, I'm happy with the job. I'm happy with the quality of work was great. The crew, all the people that come. And that was the other thing. He specifically, like half of his crew are family members. The other half are people who've worked for him for a long time and people he trained. So the more we got into it, the more we were glad that we made the choice.
Well, and the other thing that he did which was really cool is that he actually referred us to the painting contractor. So he was going to use a painting contractor to do the remodel, but we ended up using him for the whole house. But he didn't try to glom onto that as part of his contract and then charge his overhead on that. He just let us deal with the painting contractor separately. Yeah. He let us deal with. He introduced us to the roofer. He let us. We worked with him separately. So anything that was actually part of the remodel, the painting and the roof that was part of the remodel, he
got his commission.
But he didn't. He was just not greedy that way. So that again, that goes back to the trust, right? So he did the right thing.
Nice. That's good. Thanks for the info.
Shout out to Randy.
So
thanks for the shout out on Twitter as well.
Yeah. There'll be more of that.
See, y'all enjoy doing it. Y'all are clearly pretty good at it, right?
It's funny because sometimes I get kind of. Sometimes I start feeling like I wish I didn't have to think about it. It's coming. I'm looking at the calendar and I just kind of feel a little stress about it. But with every guest, once they're here, I'm so happy. I love having people in our home. I really do. And even whether they are the very interactive kind or the standoffish kind, as long as they have a good experience and they got what they wanted out of it, then I'm happy. It feels good to do it.
Are you telling me y'all haven't hosted one axe murderer yet?
Not one.
No, we tell those people there's a nice condo at Bass Lake that they can stay.
You're so bad.
Man, coming at you, bro.
Oh, man.
And by the way, you said we enjoy it. We're also the best hosts in the world.
In the world.
Well, on that note, would you ever consider running your neighbors' Airbnbs?
We've talked about that. I'm open to helping out, co-hosting, and seeing.
Yeah,
I'm open.
I think certainly after I retire, that's something we'll probably look at. And actually, when I tell other people at work and stuff what we're doing, there's a lot of interest. So I could see us actually helping people who are interested in buying in the area, setting up their Airbnb. I mean, kind of do the whole package and then help them manage it, because you can't effectively manage it full time 3 hours away. So I think there's definitely potential to do that here. And I think I heard one of your other guests who said, she doesn't own property, she controls property, right? So
controls assets. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see something like that, but again, our ambitions aren't like, oh, how can we maximize every dollar we can get out of this? I mean, this really it's a nice balance. I think you can retire with more peace of mind if you have some income, but I don't, it's not like I'm trying to replace my current income with this. And even the way we're doing it now, and I think we mentioned that, the owner of the house before us, I mean, they had 1 night minimum, no buffer. I mean, he was talking about how, well, they only had a septic problem because he had 15 one-night stays in a row.
And they washed not only all the sheets, all the comforters every time.
And we have 2 night minimum and we have a day buffer in between because, it's like we don't need the money that much. The
stress. It's not worth the stress.
Yeah, we don't want to just kill ourselves doing this. So, even after we retire, what we'll do is we'll balance it to where the effort we put out is commensurate with the return, and enough is enough. And balance.
Since you guys aren't really into the whole, you guys want to balance it. Have you guys considered putting a corporate guest down there for 2 or 3 months?
I don't know. I don't know if that would happen here. I don't see that as being the location for corporate anything.
So, but Myka, I have been paying attention to you preaching the values of corporate rentals, and interestingly enough, we lease a place. So I stay during the week in a townhouse that we lease here near my work, and currently I'm sharing that with my son, his wife, my grandchild. But if they end up moving out, that spot would be perfect for corporate rentals. In fact, I just was talking to some people here in town for meeting, and it's like you cannot find a hotel in San Jose last minute at all. And so I think that would be ideal to set that up for corporate rentals, and that that scenario where you've got 2-3 weeks, 3 months, whatever, that could be a situation.
And but it might be even safe for you, Teresa, being home alone, to know the person who's coming in, if it was ever something you threw out there and it's caught a fish or something.
But the other thing that so our place in Oakhurst, it's very vacation oriented. So there's even though we put the business ready thing, I don't think there's any business visitors. In fact, literally not 100% because the people that just stayed didn't go to Yosemite, but almost everybody is staying at our place to go visit Yosemite, period.
Yeah, yeah.
So that market really isn't, available to us. And the other thing that honestly you do have to be careful of in California is, anything over 30 days is a long-term rental.
Oh, yeah.
And there's renters.
Renters' rights are like way over owners' rights. So honestly,
Wow.
Yeah, you can't. You have to go through eviction.
Yeah.
We talked to somebody who allows people to stay for free in their home, and even if you let someone stay for free in your home, if it goes over 30 days, they have tenants' rights, and you can't get them out without going through a legal process, even if they're staying for free. I don't know if that's a fact. That I was told that. I haven't researched the laws, but
Read it on the internet.
it's a little bit little bit crazy.
Yeah, we've heard about the California squatters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What all other platforms are y'all on?
None yet. I mean, honestly, kind of going back to the point about the balance and not really pushing it too hard. We, I think actually VRBO and HomeAway would be good for us because I think that that's a good fit with the kind of visitors to this area. But honestly, so far, Airbnb has been so easy to deal with, and they just they just cut a deal with our county beginning the first of the year to collect taxes, so that we don't have to do that anymore. So
Nice.
That really helps, and I don't know for us so far. We will do it at some point, but it will actually be more about a vacation rental platform that allows us to do other channels as well as our own website bookings. Then it kind of makes sense to us, but just to jump into another platform right now doesn't really make a lot of sense.
We did talk about one of the things we're interested in is maybe doing one of those other vacation home rental sites and listing it there with a 1 week minimum. Basically, throwing out a different kind of net and see what happens. Like that was one thought.
A different demographic, and I heard you guys talking about, us boomers, and how much we like to pay extra on VRBO. Then, I do think that I think the typical Airbnb user tends to be younger. I mean, when we have an older guest, it's usually because they came with their son or daughter.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
We're introduced to Airbnb for the first time through their son or daughter. And I do think that we could be leaving some money on the table by not going to HomeAway or VRBO. And I think probably by this next busy season, we'll go ahead and set that up. But I'm still looking at platforms. I think, I know you had a guest was talking about some of the platforms that they use. I don't know. Have you guys used or looking at Orbi Rental?
What's it called?
Orbi Rental. So they just merged with Hostfully.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a pretty good relationship. We actually met the president of Hostfully. Actually stayed at his place in San Francisco, interestingly enough.
Wow.
And that was so we've been using them, and they just merged with Orbi Rental, which is a vacation rental management system, including your own. And I think they do payment processing, and they synchronize calendars and payments across all the different platforms. So we'll look at that.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually need to go, but the other thing we're talking about doing, and actually this is what we started with when we started our business and came up with the name Live, Create, Connect. It started with the idea of we think people are happier if they have some creative element in their life. It was true for us, and we think it's true for other people. And for Lenny, it was more the photography, and for me, it's art and painting and stuff like that. And in the process of me in particular dealing with some midlife crisis stuff, I ended up going on silent retreats and writer retreats and starting to do yoga and going to the senior center to do painting classes and all that. And it was so restorative for me. And I early on, I caught a vision, like, I want to help other people do this. I want to provide a place, a space, an organization where people who just need a break from their life, whether it's kids or work or whatever. And I think I had this picture of a little weekend getaway somewhere at the beach or the mountains where you go for a walk, maybe do a little yoga, have a healthy meal or a glass of wine at 10 in the morning if you want, and then you paint a picture. You dabble with, in fact, we stumbled upon this. It wasn't Airbnb. It was just a rental. I forgot how you found that place in Bolinas. We stayed in this funky little place at the beach, and they were kind of into haiku, and they had a book and a kit that taught you how to do haiku. And that was at the time that I was doing yoga and really getting into art and all that. And we played with it, and we did it, and it was fun, and it really impacted our little getaway because we actually created something. We came home with poetry that we had written on this trip. So that's the other thing we want to do and provide. Maybe instead of having more and more places to rent out, we want to have a package with workshops or retreats or something where Lenny can maybe do beginning photography courses and go with people to Yosemite and give them some tips and pointers. And I've already started getting supplies for little artists' sketch kits, small little sketchbooks and pencils, and I'm thinking ahead about maybe a project like a little half-dome postcard, and we can take an hour or two, and after they get back and they're feeling all inspired, we can have a little watercolor lesson or something like that. So
that's lovely.
We have a friend that has a art house down here.
Art House Hearst.
Yeah,
Steve's listing is Art House Hearst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ours can be Art House Oakhurst. No, actually, in fact, Steve, if you got any space on your walls, Teresa might want to consign some paintings to you too.
Yes,
so
yes, for real,
I have
for sure.
Lots of paintings.
Oh yeah, bring them down. Yeah, that's what's cool about it. Is like you said, you have this space that you can make your own. You could, and that's what I did. I mean, made it the art house, and because I love art, I'm an artist too, and so just got art all over the walls. Have like some art tables where they can draw. I got some musical instruments, and it's just that's the theme I'm going for. And most people that go there, they're not really there for that, but they appreciate it. And then there are some that specifically booked because it's the art house.
I left one of my guitars downstairs, and it's so fun when every once in a while I'll hear.
We can
down
hear
there
them.
playing it.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
with you wanting to do that, Teresa, have you looked into the Airbnb experiences since it is on the West Coast and East Coast?
Yes, right. I've been paying close attention to that, and we seriously contemplated.
We did send in an inquiry, and they said, sorry, not in your area yet. I know that they're up to 58 cities, but honestly, I don't, Oakhurst has a population of 13,000 people. So even though there are a lot of visitors,
tourists, yeah.
We're probably going to have to roll our own experience just because. But, honestly, that's something that we will be doing in varying degrees. I mean, one of the things that we have this connection with Japan, obviously, because we live there and have a lot of friends there. And we actually have a friend there who's really into hiking and climbing. And she's bringing a group in August, primarily to go to Yosemite, but they're going to stay at our place, two different nights, one on the way in, one on the way out. And I'm talking to her about, she can organize groups that come to the States, and then we can, host them. And then she actually helped. She was our leader when 3 friends of mine from work and I climbed Mount Fuji last summer.
Wow.
So she was upside on that. So, there's this international connection that we want to foster as well. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And again, as we get more familiar with the area, that's the other thing, Lenny. He's more he's a little bit grander in his ideas. Like, we can get this van that could hold 7 people.
Yeah.
We can take, and I'm like, I don't want to be in Yosemite every weekend having hiking tours. I don't want to do that. And I don't want him gone every weekend doing that. But
isn't that crazy with men? They'll like take off with it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Hold on. Like, that's not the only thing we have to do here.
Exactly. Let's come back to reality, No, but anyway, well, I've really enjoyed talking with y'all, and I hope you don't cut it short because of me, but I need to go. I have a guest in my home, and it's time for us to have dinner.
We're going to record 3 more hours so they can get an hour and 20 minutes.
So they can edit it.
We'll leave Lenny in just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, you guys,
and
nice meeting you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So close. We're getting close to your hour 20 mark that you spoke of. So just we're grateful that you came on our show, man. We're getting a lot of tons of information from you. Fascinating character, you and Teresa. Could you some closing words? Maybe throw some advice or some motivational words at our listeners, like that are afraid to do it, that would thinking about doing. Where would you have them start? A simple way to get in, or just motivation.
I would say that first of all, just start. I mean, the beautiful thing about Airbnb is you don't have to have a private locked off space to start, and just be bold, be open, and rent a room, rent some space in your house, and just try it, because you won't really know unless you try it. I would say that, like I said, there isn't a single guest that we've had that I wouldn't have been happy to have in our house. Now, as it turned out, we had this nice space that was separate, and that worked out great. But, I think the people on Airbnb, the guests on Airbnb are great. And, it's a way of, it's not just, what they say in the PR or whatever. It really is making the world a smaller place, because we're all connecting and open to each other in a way that we wouldn't otherwise. So, my first advice, is just start. I would also say, though, just in terms of anybody who is kind of getting into hosting, I mean, clearly, we actually stayed in our space. I mean, for a variety of reasons, partly because we didn't have furniture upstairs at first, but it really did help to stay in our place and see, okay, what did we like about it? What didn't we like about it? Where did the sun come in? Did it get too hot, too cold, whatever? And I think that we've made lots of improvements by really putting ourselves in the place of our guests and experiencing it like they experience it. And then just thinking about all those things that you would like as a guest and making sure that you're providing that. So, we travel a lot in Asia, and slippers, right? So, slippers are in every hotel. I might come home from business trip with a suitcase full of slippers from my hotel, but or we buy them on Amazon and provide them for a guest, and little things like that. One of the things that was already there, I can't take credit for it, but I would recommend, is the body wash, shampoo, conditioner dispenser on the side of the shower, because nobody wants to use some ganky piece of soap that somebody else uses. and managing bottles that are all over the place is kind of a pain. So those dispensers are great, and that's just a very professional, very hygienic, and welcoming thing to offer. Actually, all those trips that I took, the other thing I would do is I would bring back the little gift that you get on the business class flight, and I would collect those things. And we had a basket of them, and I just put those in there. And anybody who needed mouthwash or toothbrush or eye mask or whatever, we had those in there. They could just help themselves. Might have said American Airlines or Japan Airlines on the side, but hey.
Advertising.
So that's that. And the other thing is, like I said, just be bold. Just have an open mind, and just go for it, because it's easy to put up a listing. It's easy to take it down. And I'd say try it. experiment, modify what you're doing. Don't do what doesn't work. Do more of what is working. Listen to great podcasts like Live, Let, Thrive.
Yeah.
And just, soak it in. There's a lot of really good information out there. I think that there's no excuse for not being able to do it. And again, I think that I don't know how old this statistic is, but at one point not too long ago, I mean, the fastest growing demographic of Airbnb hosts was women in their 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are women that are in a house that might be too big, and they have an asset that they can turn into cash, and this is a great opportunity. And so I think there's a lot of people out there that are underutilizing their asset. By the way, if you get it ready for Airbnb, you're going to have to declutter and clean it up and make it nice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's always good. So I would just say, like I said, my best advice is just go for it. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, man. Like he said, you only need 3 items to start an Airbnb: camera, couch, and internet.
Exactly.
Any closing questions for Lenny?
No, that was it. How about yourself, Steve? You're the question guy.
The question guy? Oh, man. I think we covered a whole lot, man. This is a great episode.
Yeah.
And
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we appreciate Lenny coming on. What were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, Lenny, go ahead and tell the guests where they can find you.
Yeah, so livecreateconnect.com is our site, and our tagline is art and hospitality. So again, Teresa's art, her painting, my photography, and our Airbnb. And then again, our goal there really is to just inspire people to create and to be welcoming, and we welcome those to come visit us. And then we're going to continue to populate that with content. And again, we'll have, at some point, you'll be able to actually book our place directly and some of these experiences we're talking about. But in the meantime, it's just a place for us to blog and get our, ideas and inspiration out there. And then, I think on the side, I can send you some other, our email or whatever, so people can get a hold of us. Or, like I said, if they just go to the site, there's ways to contact us through the site. livecreateconnect.com.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on. And you can find us at liveletthrive.com, liveletthrive@gmail.com. What's the phone number?
469-300-9100. Like us on Facebook. Oh, we're live on video, so definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. Oh, yeah, Stitcher, Twitter, we're on all that. Oh, yeah, by the way, February 22nd, not only is our Arlington Airbnb meetup, but Airbnb is going live on Facebook. I guess they're going to be explaining the new Airbnb Select model and how that works. So I'm interested to hear that as well.
Oh, Lenny will fit that model.
Oh, yeah.
We are super hosts. We are super hosts. 45 5-star reviews. So
nice.
Yeah, so, if I get out there, I will look you guys up. So, if I'm not going to Dallas, I'm probably connecting through Dallas.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a beer at the airport, man.
Don't forget we're in Austin.
There you go.
And, and actually, we got great friends in Austin. I'd love to come to Austin, and I'll shoot your place, and we'll work something out.
Our place is right off 8th Street. I actually went to college in Austin, so.
Oh, yeah.
I
remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you ever wherever, we're all over the world, man.
Yeah, and yeah, you're the world's largest Airbnb podcast, I think, right? Domination.
Yes, we are.
But Myka, it's longest, not largest. But anyway. So Teresa and I have been actually, we were recording some audio. We're getting ready to, working on the idea of starting a podcast on our own. We'd love to have you guys on that when we get that going. And in fact, one of the things, not to put an idea out there that somebody steals, but, one thing I thought, I haven't heard any Airbnb-related podcasts that are actually interviews with guests. So that's one of the things that we are going to consider doing is just, if we have a guest that you were engaging with and they want to, they have an interesting story, actually interview. So I haven't heard that. that may be an idea for you guys to think about.
Yeah, we had one in the works, actually. My buddy from Argentina, he works for American Airlines also, too. And he's been to over 50 countries. And so he stayed at Airbnbs all over the world, literally all over the world. So he's going to be one of our guests coming up soon.
Good. Yeah, because I really do think it's good to hear. I mean, it's one thing for hosts to talk to each other. It's another thing to actually get the guest perspective directly. So
I'm a guest. I guess that's what I use, Airbnb. So
I've never been a guest.
You guys really should do it.
Well, besides once.
Actually, come stay at our place. Come stay at our place.
I'm coming too.
We will. Wherever
Yeah, when you check on your Bass Lake timeshare condo, you can actually stay at our place.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Lenny.
All right.
See y'all.
See
Live,
ya.
let, thrive out.
Oh yeah. Check out My Southern Soapbox, the YouTube channel for all the latest cleaning tips with Julie Bye.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.